Hello students, welcome to KENE'S Educare, a group of KENE solutions. This is part 4 of lesson number 1, Matter in Our Surrounding. Now, as you all remember, we are studying about matter from we have studied it till part 3, right? Where part 1 was introductory part to the lesson, to the whole lesson, matter in our surrounding. Then we discussed on part 1 where we have started the exact lesson, what is matter, what are the characteristics of matter, and we have studied so many things with respect to activity, right? And as I stated you all in the last part as well, that whatever activity has been given, if you have now whatever activity we discussed for this lesson, I guess you can do all the activities because we have one replacement. Like instead of potassium permanganate, like if you don't have potassium permanganate with you, instead of using that potassium permanganate, we can use Dettol, right? There was one of the activity which was given. So whatever activities have been given over here, you can perform it. So I'll suggest you, whenever we are discussing it, try to perform that activity because that is going to help you a lot, even though you have not studied some concept before your exam, okay? But still, because you have performed the activity, you will be able to write the answer on it. Because when we perform the activity, we have observation, explanation part to it, and an inference, that is conclusion to it, right? So this is what, if you include in the answer, explaining the activity along with all the stated thing, that is observation, explanation, conclusion, and everything, you will not lose your marks there, right? Because there is a purpose of including activities in the lesson. Like you might have seen in your previous standards as well, like when you study science, there are so many activities, because unless and until you're not relating it to your environment, okay, or you're not relating it to the things which are happening in real life, you won't understand it properly. And when you do the activity, make sure you're utilizing all the concepts that we are studying. Like suppose if we study about matter, right? Matter is something which occupies space and has mass. So now you have to find out any 10 things from your surrounding which we can call as matter. Then you have to tell what is that exactly made up of, right? So today I hope whatever we have discussed so far in the lesson, you have understood it well. Now we will be discussing more about the lesson matter in our surrounding. But before I proceed further, I want each one of you to please revise whatever note that you have taken in your book, okay? Because after that we will be discussing on, once you are aware of that, we will be discussing further about the different states, and there are many different things to discuss, so we will be doing them all. But before that, I want you all to please revise whatever note that you have taken in your book. So I hope every one of you have revised like whatever note you had in your book. Now I want each one of you to please go through the slide as well. So here we have information like what exactly matter is and how can we classify matter. Like we know that on the basis of physical state, we can classify them as solid, liquid and gas. And when it comes like on classifying the matter on the basis of chemical composition, it is classified pure substances and mixtures. I hope everyone is going through it. After this, we discussed on the physical nature of matter. So I want each one of you to please go through it once. You have to go through the activity very well. And now you need to explain it in your own words rather than like taking the help of your book or screen. Okay? I hope every one of you are going through the activity. After this activity 1.1, we discussed on like how small are the particles of matter right? And we studied that through an activity, so I want you all to please go through it once as well. I hope everyone is going through the activity. After that, we studied on the characteristics of particles of matter. So I want each one of you to please go through it once. After this, we discussed on this activity 1.2.1. And if you all remember, like I have told you all the explanation, inference, and everything regarding this, right? So I want you all to please go through it once. After this, we discussed on like how particles of matter they continuously move, right? So I want you all to please go through this slide as well once. After this, we discussed on this activity 1.3. So I just want each one of you to please go through it once. After this, we discussed on this activity 1.4. So I want each one of you to please go through it once. I hope everyone is going through this activity and you have your you are able to tell the observation, you are able to explain it, and like it's going well. After this, we even discussed on this activity 1.5. So I want you all to please go through it properly. I hope everyone is going through it. After discussing this activity, we even discussed on how particles of matter attract each other, right? So I want you all to please go through this activity as well. Then we discussed on this 1.7 activity as well. So I want you all to please go through it once. Now, like we need to study on this activity 1.8 as well. See, what we need to do is over here, we need to take some water in container. Try cutting the surface of the water. Okay? What are we going to do? We are going to try cut that you can say surface of water with your fingers. Were you able to cut the surface of water? And what could be the reason behind the surface of water remaining together? Now, what do you think? What can be the reason why surface of water remains together? Now, before I tell you the observation and all, I want you all to please go through it once. Like, try to think of an answer for it. See, what observation you can write over here is we can easily cut the water using fingers because water joins again once we remove the finger. Now, suppose you have added your finger inside the water, right? So once you remove the finger, what will happen? The water will again get joined. So this is the observation that you need to write. An explanation you can write is like because water has weak attraction of force than solids, we can easily swirl our fingers across it. But just imagine if it's an ice. Okay, if you do the same thing with ice, it is not possible. Why? Because the force of attraction is more in ice, whereas in water the particles have weak force of attraction, because of which we are easily able to swirl our finger across it. Okay, and once we remove the finger, the water occupies the same space again. So this similar process also occurs with air. It is not only with water, it also occurs with air, where the air molecule regains the empty space. Okay, so you have to just write this much as observation and explanation in your own words. It's all because of the force of attraction, weak force of attraction in liquid. I hope everyone is writing it. After this, see, now we have, you can say, states of matter to discuss in detail. See, matter exists in three different states, which are solid, liquid, and gas. But apart from this, if you all remember, we discussed on that there are two different states of matter as well, right? Which includes plasma, and the other one is Bose-Einstein condensate, right? So they are also, you can say, two different types of, like two different states of matter that we have. Okay. So now we will be studying each of them in detail along with example. So see, what are the properties of solid now? Solids, why do they have a definite shape and volume? Because the force of attraction between the particle is maximum. So because of a good force of attraction between them, what happens? Because of it, solids have a definite shape and volume. Okay, and the space between the particle is also more. This is what we studied. Then the movement of the particles is minimum. How is the movement? The movement of the particle is going to be minimum, and they are least compressible. We cannot compress them, and their rate of diffusion is least. How is the rate of diffusion? It is least. So I want you all to please write the properties of solid and let me know. While you write it, make sure you are drawing the structure of the solids as well, because that is also very important. You should be knowing about it as well. Okay. I hope everyone is writing the properties of solid. After that, we will be even discussing on the properties of liquid and properties of gas as well. Okay. After this, we have this activity 1.9. See, what you need to do is collect the following articles. You need to collect a pen, a book, a needle, and a piece of wooden stick. So you need to collect all these articles and then sketch the shape of the article in your notebook by moving a pencil around them. So you have to sketch the shape of these articles in your notebook and you have to move a pencil around them. So do all this have a definite shape, distinct boundaries, and fixed volume? What do you think when you do it? Do you think that they are going to have like definite shape, distinct boundaries, and fixed volume? And what if they are hammered, pulled, or dropped? Are this capable of diffusing into each other? And now you have to try compressing them by applying force, and you need to check, are you able to compress them? Okay, so you can say for the first question that they have asked, do all this have a definite shape, distinct boundaries, and fixed volume? So yes, all of this have a definite shape, distinct boundaries, and fixed volume. Okay, then what happens if they are hammered, pulled, or dropped? Now because we have book is torn when pulled with strong, like pulled strong. Pen and piece of wooden stick, they will get broken when we hammer it, right? So pen and needle as well as wooden stick will get broken down if we hammer it, and book will get torn if we pull it strongly. Then the next question that we have is, are this capable of diffusing into each other? So you have to write no, none of them is capable of diffusing into each other. And lastly, try compressing them by applying force. Are you able to compress them? So if you try pen, needle, wooden stick, or book, you won't be able to compress them. So none of this are compressible. So this is the property of the solid that we just studied. Okay. Okay, so I hope you all are done with it. Now the next thing that we have is the properties of liquid. See, liquids, they do not have definite shape, but they have fixed volume. See, now why I'm telling liquids do not have that definite shape, because liquids take the shape of the container in which we put them. Now suppose this is a beaker. When I put liquid inside that beaker, liquid will take the, you can say, shape of the beaker, right? So this is how liquids, they themselves do not have any shape, but they take the shape of the container in which we put them, and but they have fixed volume. Okay, then the space between the particle is more than solids and less than gas. So you can see here, like, if you have to compare all the three, so the space in liquid is less than solid, but more than solid and less than gas, and the force of attraction of particles is less than solid and more than gas. Okay, so you're like, they have compared with respect to gas and solid. Now I guess like, you can say it's becoming clear to you. So the movement of the particle is going to be intermediate. They are not that free as gas, and they are not compactly packed as solid. So they are in between. So movement of the particles is going to be intermediate. Okay, so these are the four different properties of liquid that we have. So I want you all to write the properties. Along with that, make sure you're drawing this figure showing the particles, how they are exactly arranged in liquid. I hope everyone is writing the properties of liquids. Then we'll study the properties of gas and then we'll stop. But before that, make sure you're understanding everything. After this, see, we have this activity 1.10 to discuss before we start with it. See, what is this activity? Sorry. Collect the following: water, cooking oil, milk, juice, and a cold drink. Okay. And then you have to collect containers of different shapes. Put 50 ml mark on this container using a measuring cylinder from the lab. Okay, so you have to like take a measuring cylinder, put a 50 ml mark on the containers, and you have to collect water, cooking oil, milk, juice, and cold drink. Okay, then you have to check what will happen if these liquids are spread on the floor. And then does 50 ml of any one liquid, like measure 50 ml of any one liquid and transfer it into different containers one by one. Does the volume remain the same? Does the shape of the liquid remain the same? And when you pour the liquid from one container into another, does it flow easily? Okay, so now you know, firstly you have to check whether this liquid can get split on the floor or not. So yes, we know that all liquids flow after they are split on the floor, right? Then secondly, measure 50 ml of any one liquid and transfer it into different container one by one. Does the volume remain the same? Yes, volume remains the same after transferring the liquid into different containers. Okay, because we know that they have a definite volume but they do not have a definite shape. So does the shape of the liquid remain the same? Yes, liquid gets the shape of the container in which we put them. They do not have their own shape. Okay, then when you pour the liquid from one container into another, does it flow easily? Yes, all liquids flow easily. So I want you all to like take a note of what exactly has been given. And then we are just left with the gas part. We'll discuss the properties and the activity associated with it. I hope every one of you have taken a note of the answers to the activity question. Now the next thing that we have to study is properties of gases. Now you have studied about the properties of solids, properties of liquids, and now the third state of matter that we have is property of gases. So let's see what exactly it is. See, gases have no definite shape or fixed volume. Okay, gases have no definite shape or fixed volume. Gases are going to occupy the whole space of the container. What do they occupy? They occupy the whole space of the container. After that, the space between the particles are going to be maximum. How is the space going to be? The particles in gases are very much far away from each other. That is why we say that the space between the particle is going to be maximum, and the force of attraction between the particle is going to be minimum. Why minimum? Because the particles are very much far away from each other. So the movement of the particle is maximum, and they are most compressible. Now, because they are compressible, we know that like we have those oxygen cylinders, we have LPG, CNG and all, right? So it, because it has like, because it is compressible, highly compressible, that is why we are able to like compress them into the cylinders. Okay. And lastly, their rate of diffusion is more than solids and liquids. Okay. So I want you all to write the properties of gas along with the particles, like along with the diagram that they have shown over here. I hope every one of you are writing the properties of it. Okay, so I hope every one of you are done with it. Now we have again an activity to discuss over here. See, take 300 ml syringes and close their nozzles by rubber cork as shown in the figure. Can you see the rubber cork and the syringe? So remove the piston from all the syringes and leaving one syringe untouched, fill water in the second and piece of chalk in the third. So like in one of the syringe you will keep water, in one of the syringe you will have chalk, and one will be kept aside. Now insert the piston back into the syringe, and you may apply some Vaseline on the piston before inserting them into the syringe for the smooth movement. And now try to like compress the content by pushing the piston in each syringe. Okay, now you know there's one syringe that you have not done anything with, right? So the syringe that you have left untouched, you will be easily able to push it. This shows that apart from all the three where you have water, chalk and Vaseline applied on it, right? So only the syringe that is untouched, you will be able to push it easily. So this shows that there was air in syringe there was air in syringe which was left untouched, which is gas and is compressible. So that is how we can conclude from this that air is highly compressible, right? So sorry, gas is easily compressible while water, like because water is liquid and chalk that we took was solid. So here using this activity we can clearly like give us, or we can clearly specify that solids cannot be compressed. Water, like water and solid, they cannot be compressed, whereas gases are easily compressible, right? So I just want you all to like explain this in your own words in your book. I hope every one of you are explaining it in your own words. Now after this we have like discussed more about gases, which I'll do that in the next class. And even we will be like discussing about can matter change its states. So we have three different states of matter, that is solid, liquid and gas. How do this matter can change in its state, we will be discussing that as well, okay, in detail. Then we will be discussing on effect of change of temperature. What exactly is the effect of change of temperature in detail. Then we'll discuss on this activity 1.13 where where we will be studying about sublimation in detail. Okay, then we'll discuss on effect of change of pressure as well in detail. After discussing the effect of change of temperature and then effect of change of pressure, we will be discussing about like evaporation in detail, what exactly evaporation is. Okay, then after evaporation we will be discussing on the factors which are affecting evaporation, and we will be doing that through activity 1.14. And after this, like we will be discussing on how the rate of evaporation increases, because that is also very important. We'll discuss that. Then we will discuss on how does evaporation cause cooling. That is also very important. So there's a brief, like you can say, brief explanation on evaporation part, the rate factor affecting the rate of evaporation, how evaporation causes cooling, and there are so many things to discuss, right? So we'll do that. And as we know that apart from solid, liquid, and gas, we have like two more states of matter that exist, that is plasma, and the other one is Bose-Einstein condensate. So we'll discuss that, and then we have summary discussion to study in detail. Okay, we'll be doing that as well. So after this we will be like discussing on some of the measurable quantities along with the units to remember. So I want you all to please go through this units 1. Then we have some of the exercise questions. So I want each one of you to please go through it. So we have, I guess, 11 total 11 questions to discuss, which we will be doing as well. Okay, so this is how we will be ending up with the lesson matter in our surrounding. And I hope whatever we discussed today in this part, you all are very much clear with it, because we will be like continuing with the rest of the part in the next class. But make sure you all are revising whatever we have studied so far, okay? So like there is only few parts which have been left for the lesson. Maybe in two more parts we will be completing it with like each and every question which has been given, along with the leftover part for the lesson as well. So make sure you all are revising them as well. So I'll end the session over here and make sure that you're revising it. Thank you everyone.